fabled heat, where magic meets desire. Subscribe to ignite the fantasy.
I'll never forget the day I stumbled into the minefield. The scorching sun beat down on my skin, relentless in its ferocity. I had been walking for hours, the endless dunes of sand stretching out before me like an eternal grave. My canteen was almost empty, and my throat felt like the Sahara itself. I had to keep moving, had to find shelter before nightfall. That's when I saw him. He stood atop a rocky outcropping, his eyes fixed intently on me. His dark hair was messy, his jawline strong, and his piercing blue eyes seemed to bore into my very soul. He wore a faded military jacket and a rifle slung over his shoulder. For a moment I thought he was a mirage, a product of my parched brain. "Welcome, my friends," he called out, his deep voice carrying across the sand. "You actually made it. I would come closer and greet you properly, but you have landed in the middle of a minefield." My heart sank. I looked down, and sure enough, I saw the telltale signs of mines buried beneath the sand. My legs turned to jelly, and I froze, unsure of what to do next. The stranger began to walk towards me, his movements slow and deliberate. "Don't move," he warned. "I'll guide you out of here, just stay still." As he approached, I noticed the tension in his body, the way his eyes scanned the ground with a practiced intensity. This was a man who had navigated minefields before, who knew the dangers that lurked beneath the surface. He stopped a few feet away from me, his gaze locking onto mine. "My name is Ryder," he said, his voice low and husky. "And you are?" "I'm Ava," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper. Ryder's eyes crinkled at the corners as he smiled. "Ava, I'm glad you made it. Now, let's get you out of here, shall we?" With Ryder's guidance, I navigated the treacherous minefield, my heart pounding in my chest. We moved in slow, painstaking increments, Ryder expertly diffusing the mines as we went. The sun beat down on us, relentless in its intensity, but I barely noticed. I was too busy stealing glances at Ryder, wondering how this mysterious stranger had ended up in the middle of nowhere, guiding me through a deadly minefield. As we finally emerged onto safe ground, Ryder turned to me, his eyes gleaming with a warm intensity. "You're safe now, Ava," he said, his voice low and soothing. "But I have to warn you, we're not out of the woods yet. There are those who would love to get their hands on you, to use you for their own purposes." I felt a shiver run down my spine as Ryder's words hung in the air. What did he mean? Who were these people, and what did they want with me? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the desert in a warm orange glow, Ryder led me to a small encampment. A cluster of tents and vehicles, surrounded by a high wall of sandbags. It was a makeshift base, a temporary refuge from the dangers that lurked outside. Over the next few days, I learned more about Ryder and his team. They were a group of mercenaries hired to extract people from high-risk zones. Ryder was the leader, a former soldier with a talent for strategy and a deep understanding of the desert terrain. As we spent more time together, I found myself drawn to Ryder's quiet strength, his unwavering confidence. He was a man who had faced his share of battles, who had lost people he cared about, but he never gave up, never lost faith in himself or his abilities. And yet, despite the growing attraction between us, I sensed a deep unease in Ryder. A tension that simmered just below the surface, waiting to erupt. It was as if he was hiding something that could change everything between us. One night, as we sat around a roaring fire, Ryder's eyes locked onto mine. "Ava, I have to tell you something," he said, his voice low and husky. "Something that could put you in danger." My heart skipped a beat as I leaned in, my senses on high alert. "What is it, Ryder?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Ryder's eyes seemed to bore into my soul, as if searching for something. "I'm not just a mercenary, Ava," he said, his voice dripping with tension. "I'm also your arranged mate." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Arranged mate? What did he mean? Ryder's eyes never left mine as he continued. "Our families have been at odds for years, Ava, but they've agreed to a truce, one that involves our marriage. It's a union that could bring peace to our families, but it also puts us in grave danger." I reeled back, my mind racing with the implications. Arranged marriage. It was a concept I'd only read about in books, never thought I'd experience it myself. As the night wore on, Ryder told me more about our families, about the feud that had been brewing for generations. He spoke of the dangers that lurked in the shadows, of the people who would stop at nothing to prevent our union. And yet, despite the risks, despite the uncertainty, I felt a spark of hope. A spark that grew into a flame as I looked into Ryder's eyes, saw the determination there. We were fated mates, bound together by a centuries-old agreement. But as we sat there, surrounded by the vast expanse of the desert, I knew that our love was more than just a duty. It was a choice that we would have to fight for every step of the way.